You've been locked up for God knows how long.
35 years. That's right. 35 long years. And 15 before that. That's right. I've been in the pen 50 of the 65 years I've been on this earth.
Salute family, Tank Commander Zulu back at y'all once again, and this Real Man Movement. Today here at the Real Man Movement, we're going to talk about being institutionalized. Are you locked in or locked out? And what does it mean to a real man or a real woman to be institutionalized? Let's talk about it here today with Tank Commander Zulu and the Real Man Movement. Fire in the hole, baby.
Contest. Do you hear where I'm coming from? Survival. That's my first concern.
Salute family, it's Tank Commander Zulu back at y'all once again and that Real Man Movement. Before we get into the topic of discussion, which is being institutionalized, I would like to invite everyone to become a subscriber to the channel. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe today. And when you hit the subscribe button, also hit the little bell icon. It'll let you know everything that's going on here with Tank Commander Zulu and this Real Man Movement. Now back to the topic of discussion. Being institutionalized. What does it mean to a real man and a real woman? And are you locked in or locked out? Well, let's talk about being institutionalized and what it really means. You know, at face value, when you hear the word institutionalized, you normally think of someone who's incarcerated, someone who's been in the judicial system for a very long time. They've been part of the system. And because they are being put in jail or being part of that particular system for so long, they become what's called institutionalized, right? Meaning all they know is how to live in that particular institution, how to live under those particular set of rules that are embedded in that institution. They've been institutionalized. And you know, you can look at it that way to get a great understanding of where we're going with being institutionalized from the beginning.
I faced myself a long time ago. I'm nothing and I faced it.
It's true. An individual who finds him or herself, you know, in the system, going to jail frequently, being put into that particular system for so long, and after a long time, they become institutionalized. And that's true. That's one way of looking at it. But see, being institutionalized has many more layers than just going to jail and being part of the judicial system negatively. You see, even being free here outside of the prison walls, as Americans, many of us are institutionalized and don't even realize it. Our thinking, the way that we are supposed to act, the things that we've been taught in American society, it produces a form of being institutionalized. We can believe one thing and not understand another. We can understand one way of living and not understand another. So the question becomes, are you locked in or are you locked out? Because being institutionalized is not just being locked in or locked up. But it also means being locked out. Locked out of an understanding that will bring you a different kind of freedom than what the institution of America offers you.
35 years and I've learned to be content. I just deal with the me that's in here. I just lay back and relax and keep my mind together. Because I now believe that I'm the one free. The freest man in the world. The rest of the world is locked up. They're locked out.
Now look, I'm about to hit home with a lot of people now. You are a part of an institution, whether you believe it or not, that has guided you from the time that you have been able to have an understanding of how to live. This particular institution has told you how to think, how to believe, how to understand. It's taught you how to love. It's taught you how to hate. It's taught you how to be fair, and it's taught you how to be unfair. In many cases, it has locked you out from a true understanding of freedom. So a lot of people are locked in to an understanding of what freedom is that actually is based on them being institutionalized. Now look, I'm gonna go slow. I don't want to go too fast. I ain't trying to go too deep, but I want to hit home. Being institutionalized means more than being in the prison system. It's more than that. That's a form of being institutionalized. But let's talk about, because we understand the form of going to prison, or a person being in the prison system most of their life, we understand that being connected to the understanding of being institutionalized. But nobody wants to talk about the free man and woman walking around here with their minds so messed up because of what they've been taught in American culture most of the time. They've been institutionalized. And there's levels to that in the American culture. Let's talk about a few things for a minute here. Let's bring it down to a level to where we can understand and we can get some meaning from this thing. Many times as men and women in America, we're taught to be patriotic. Meaning that when we see the American flag, we're taught to salute the flag. We're taught to stand up and give honor to that flag. And okay, that's okay, that's cool. But in many cases, people feel that that flag has not rightly represented them. And I can say this as a combat soldier. Fought and bled for this country. But at times I can tell you the flag I don't feel rightly represented by the flag all the time. You see, but because of being institutionalized, being taught the only way you can be socially accepted is to honor that flag no matter how you truly feel about the values inside of that flag. The American values. Now, all American values are not bad, but it's certainly bad when America can choose a race of people or point out a race of people and classify them socially as being inferior. Does everyone believe that? No. But this message is for the ones who do. Of course, every white person is not racist. Every black person is not racist. But it's enough racism that still goes on today to where we cannot ignore the fact that it still exists. Even in 2020, getting ready to be 2021 if God allows us to live. So yes, we've been institutionalized to believe that every value that is possessed by America is a good one. That's our way of thinking. You see, if you believe that, now everyone does not believe that, but for those who believe it, you are locked in to a way of thinking. You've been locked in. You've been institutionalized into one way of thinking. That no matter what America does, America's right. That's you're institutionalized and don't realize it.
Once I quit believing that, I might as well push a bunk up against the wall, tie a sheet around my neck and jump off. Or I go completely crazy.
Now for the ones who are locked out, who's locked out of this locked in understanding, the ones who say, well, listen, I don't feel every value of America is one worthy of standing up and saluting to or standing up and giving honor to. You see, that's a locked out understanding. Doesn't mean that it's bad. But you're locked out from the locked in understanding of being institutionalized. So your institution is on the outside. It's of a different character. It has a different system. It doesn't necessarily hate everything about America, but it hates some things about America. And those particular type of people and that particular type of thinking is another form of being institutionalized. The locked out version of it. Remember, we're talking about the locked out version and the locked in version of being institutionalized. You know, this thing is kind of deep, y'all. And I want to be able to share this with all the viewers of the channel. Because you have to ask yourself, the question is not are you institutionalized? It's what form of being institutionalized you fall under. Are you the locked in version of being institutionalized? Which is so much like the person in the prison system who has no choice. They have no choice but to follow the rules inside of that system. And they've been doing it so long that is all they know. They've been told when to wake up, when to go to sleep, when to eat, when to shower, when to use a telephone. All of these things because of the institution that they are a part of. Now the outside, there's people who are totally free, who have never seen the inside of a prison, who were never part of the prison system, who are just as institutionalized as a person who is in the prison system. What do you mean, Tank Commander? I'm free. I ain't never been to jail. Look, some of you have been to jail. Some of y'all still in jail right now in your mind. You've allowed people to tell you how far you can go in life. You've allowed people to put a standard on you to determine if you are a good person or a bad person. That's institutionalized. You let people tell you how to think, how you should feel when you see a certain situation. You're not going by how you really feel, but you going by the guided understanding that if I don't feel this way, then I won't be socially accepted. That's institutionalized. Listen, everybody don't love puppies, cats, and dogs, and birds and all that kind of. Everybody don't love that. So when you meet somebody who don't love an animal, you look at them and think that they're wrong. Like their way of thinking is wrong. Now the person just don't happen to like dogs. Person just don't happen to like cats. That has nothing to do with that person's value. Doesn't make them a good person or a bad person. But what it does make them, it makes them choose the type of being institutionalized that they will allow in their life. I'm not going to allow you to make me feel a certain way about something you feel a way about. No, if I don't feel that way, then I don't. If I don't take my dog and let him lick me all in the face and kiss him all in the mouth, that don't make me a bad person. But if you do it, I can't look at you as being a bad person. But don't trap me into your institution of licking dogs in the mouth and kissing dogs in the mouth and make me feel like I'm inappropriate. Or make me feel like I'm doing something that my way of feeling and looking at that situation is wrong. No, it's not. I refuse to be locked in. I'd rather be locked out. Locked out from your understanding. Locked out from the kissing dogs in the mouth. I'm going to use that for an example. Because everywhere you go nowadays, you see people kissing dogs and everything in the mouth and don't care about human life. Wouldn't give one iota about a human life. You can look at that in a trivial format. But you look at an animal as though it was a human being, the way God said it should be. The value of a human life is greater than the value of an animal's life. But you've been institutionalized. And some of the values in America, see, people begin this form, producing this form of being institutionalized in your mind. It's okay, listen, celebrate Christmas with a Christmas tree, wreaths and lights and everything, or don't. You don't have to be trapped into that understanding and belief that you have to do these things. That's being institutionalized. If I say I'm not going to celebrate Christmas with a Christmas tree, I'm not going to use a wreath, or I'm not going to use all the lights and things of that nature, then I'm locked out from your understanding. See, sometimes it's good to be locked in, and then sometimes it's better to be locked out. But it's all a form of being institutionalized. What you've been taught. What you've been taught that is of value. And what you have been taught that is not of value. Sometimes, listen, just because something's a law doesn't mean that it's correct. In particularly in the eyes of God. But it's good because in the Bible, in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 27, and I'm going to break it down the way that God says it. He says he takes the simple things to confound the wise, the weak things to confuse the mighty. And there's different versions that may say it a little differently, but that's the gist of what the Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 27. He said he'll take the simple things to confound the wise. Now there's two understandings there. There's a simple understanding and a wise understanding. Which one are you locked into? You see, a simple understanding of things is being locked out from a wise understanding. But now the Bible says he'll take the simple things, the locked out understanding, to confound the wise, this locked in understanding. The locked in understanding of all the values of America that people try to tell you historically are correct. Where they tell you historically, they show you that one race is superior and the other race didn't do nothing, didn't contribute nothing to this American system, which is a lie. But it produces a person being institutionalized, locked into an understanding. Or I'm institutionalized and locked out of the understanding, a different form. I know for a fact, every law that goes through legislation that is voted on by politicians is not a good law. Because it's a law, it doesn't make me say, okay, look, I believe that it's right. No. Because I will be part of that institution of understanding where I cannot think for myself. I have to allow someone else to think for me, and 9 times out of 10, they're not telling me the whole truth. So therefore, they make me and you a slave all over again. Black, white, whatever color you may be.
They call that institutionalized, too sweet. Institutionalized. And I'm it. So keep your far-fetched dreams to yourself. And if the lieutenant and his brother-in-law by some miracle could convince the board to turn you loose, or if some young lady would come up and live with you for a week, don't tell me when you're going. Don't tell me when you're coming back. Don't bring no fucking drawers in here for me to sniff. Don't tell me a goddamn thing. Because if I can't have it all, I don't want any of it. And I'm for real, too sweet.
Being institutionalized. The way that you think determines the form of being institutionalized that you are a part of. Are you locked in with just thinking the way America tells you to think? Even when America is guilty of bloodshed, of murder, of the deterioration of entire people. We have to call it for what it is. And if you don't believe that, if you don't believe everything that America says, if you don't believe everything that America tries to teach us historically in the school system, then you're locked out. See, that particular type of being institutionalized is okay as well. You're locked out from the core understanding of all of what's supposed to be American values. You choose not to be locked in, but you prefer to be locked out. Listen, I prefer to be free than to be in prison. A locked out understanding is not bad all the time. It's not bad. Now, the locked in understanding itself, it has its good things, but it has its bad things as well. You don't get to think for yourself with the locked in understanding. Just like the prisoner who cannot do anything without getting the permission from the system. And with that, family, I'm going to stop the tank. But once again, before we go, I'd like to invite everybody to become a subscriber if you're not a subscriber. And it just take you a minute. Listen, tell your friends, go to Tank Commander Zulu, support that real man movement. Hit that red subscribe button, whatever color it is, red, blue, whatever color they got it today. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the little bell icon. And when you do that, you're on board. You're on the tank with the Tank Commander. And remember, fear no man but God, baby. No man but God. Tank Commander Zulu, signing out.